Welcome to episode 2 of Rear Naked Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Jamie Kilstein.
And Drew Weatherhead back with you again. We have today a guest that is going to blow your minds because he is literally 2 generations removed from the very beginning of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as we know it.
Nicky Ryan. Sorry, I do have, but by the way, that was not a shot at Nicky Ryan. I just thought it would be a funny joke in the moment. I do want to get Nicky Ryan on the show.
We're going to need paternity tests. I'm really curious.
we got a Gracie, you guys. We nabbed one.
Yeah, you thought we couldn't do it. We got him.
Yeah, I like speaking of Gracies, like they're just like scurrying around a forest, and we had to like throw a bag over one.
We were talking about this the other day, how we need to get shirts made for all of these Gracies that say OG on it, and in little words it says original Gracie.
That's very smart. By the way, if we made it, it would be fine. They're gonna put it on fucking Gracie University or whatever and make $1 billion.
Oh man, I need some royalties. Okay, we need to timestamp this conversation.
Yeah. November 18th. I don't know when it's gonna air. We've lost the money already. They've already made the shirt in the time before we post it. They found out another Gracie scurried into like my balcony, overheard it. We're fucked.
It's done.
Guys, Ryron Gracie's on the show today. I said that like it was a live audience and they were gonna clap, but nonetheless, Ryron Gracie. That's a big fucking deal.
Yeah, everybody's watched his videos with his brother Henner. And so we've got him now without his brother Henner, so we can dial down the energy a little bit so we can hear Ryron.
Should we do a segment right now? By the way, I'm friends with him. He intimidates me. And he's so peaceful, and I mean, he's fucking huge. But like, you'll see in the interview, he's super chill, but there's still this just like, I'm a Gracie. Like, I don't know, man. Like, Henzo goes so over the top in the other direction where he's like, ah. But like, even the times I've trained with Henzo, there's something about just fucking like, you're a Gracie that I'm like, I didn't realize I'm wearing an original UFC hoodie. Like, I accidentally fucking like wore the band t-shirt to the concert, you know? But like, we can like, both Drew and I probably had some hilarious questions we wanted to ask. None of them. I was just like, I must let him speak. And anytime I like tried to make a little joke, I was like, I have failed you, Ryron. Like, I just felt so fucking dumb.
It's like trying to talk to the Dalai Lama, but interjecting a dick joke just to cut the mood a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you do up in this temple all day? And he's just like, good day.
Yeah, you could see it in his eyes sometimes during this interview. If you're watching it on YouTube, check it out. You'll see his personality. First of all, he's very calm. He's very reserved. He's very to the point, and he's a great conversationalist.
Oh, but I should say before, like, to be very clear, I wasn't going to do jiu-jitsu today, and because of his, like, A, relationship advice, but 2, everything he was talking about with being in bad positions, and like, I'm so inspired to train right now. Like, the interview is great. Drew and I are just maniacs and just overanalyzing everything.
It's true. But there are certain points where you can see him talking about when he's training, where you see like a glimmer of like lion pride in his eyes. And like, oh shit, right, I forgot. He's really, 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 really good at this.
Dude, when I asked him about the challenge matches and he like took a pause and I was like, are you reliving that in your, because like right now, okay, we should talk on Instagram. Gordon Ryan finally got to fight someone who shit talked him. You know, he said he got to fight his first like internet troll or whatever. But as much as like you watch Ryron's Instagram and it's his family and like, you know, he doesn't compete, like, you forgot like homeboy was in dog fights. You know what I mean? For his fucking family's legacy. Like, people would just come into the gym and be like, I'm going to street fight you. And that does not happen as much nowadays. And so, like, yeah, you're totally right. Like, peaceful, and then you fucking see it. Like, you look in his eyes and it's just a reflection of him, like, fucking punching some karate guy in the back of the head from, like, 1980.
Which is totally contrast to what he's going to talk about in a lot of the other stories he talks about, because he's very defense oriented. He's very self-defense oriented. You know, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu ideology is really thick in this interview. But
And you got to ask him about Helio. Like, it was so fucking cool. I was just he's just captivating.
I got to tell you, though, guys, if you're a super competitor, all you roll hards out there are going to be all sorts of triggered when he starts talking about how to properly do jiu-jitsu. So prepare yourself.
Get yourself in a safe space. I don't know what a competitor safe space looks like.
In the bullpen?
Yeah. Get your hoodie up. Start jumping up and down with like your Dre Beats headphones. But I also think that, I mean, I briefly said this in the interview. So two things I wanted to say in the interview, but I was just like, shut up, let the Gracie talk. So the person who really turned me on to Huron was one of my instructors, Paul Schreiner. And if anyone doesn't know, Paul Schreiner is like second in command at Marcelo Garcia's school. Marcelo Garcia's school, obviously, were highly competitive. Attack. I have Marcelo's game, etc. So I was really surprised when Paul was the one who was like, yo, you got to check out Huron. I think he's one of the best people I've ever rolled with. I think he's one of the best living people today. And that's why I'm such a fanboy, just because I looked up to Paul so much. And I was like, really? Like the online university dude? And like that's like really kind of all I knew at the time. And dude, I went so heavy into Huron stuff and then reached out to him. We trained privately. I took some of his classes. We talked about philosophy. Like he's such a fascinating guy, but his jiu-jitsu, for someone who talks a lot about defense, dude, his jiu-jitsu is legit fucking.
Should call it legitsu.
Legitsu. It is really fucking terrifying. And the story I wanted to tell is I had this back to basics moment the other day. And Paul, by the way, I should say, like Ryan Hall gives Paul so much credit. Like Paul's not, I mean, he's fucking like hardcore, you know? And so for him to say this, I really that opened my mind a little bit. So I would ask that of competitors, and then check it out, because I think that, you know, when people who are self-defense oriented can take something out of hardcore competitors' vernacular, the way they train, and then when competitors can take some of the Gracie mentality, it's like you're going to get an amazing sort of transformer combo. But dude, I had this moment the other day where like my ego caused me to like see red and almost black out. It was just some open mat. And there was this dude, I'm like 165. This guy was like fucking 215, maybe 220. And he asked if I want to roll. And I remember coaching him with something. But I was like, oh yeah, I think he's like a white belt or he's really new. But I guess he was also like a wrestler. And I was like, yeah, man, like my hips are kind of jacked, but like, let's go light.
You told the wrestler, let's go light. I can see where this is going.
I didn't know he was a wrestler. And so he comes in. I have a pretty good wrestling defense. He comes in and I can't move. Just snatches me up, boom, right to the ground. That I'm like, fuck. It's like my second roll. And I'm like, oh, I'm in a fight. And I'm like, just pissed off. And so like, I just desperately get to guard. And I put my hand over the back of his neck and I overhook. I don't really have a game from there. Like I'm not a big closed guard guy. And at first, and I'm just like going off on myself. I'm like, what the fuck, Jamie? Like some like white belt just bullied you to the ground. You're in closed guard and you're holding on to him like an asshole. I'm like, I don't have a game. I'm not going to try to triangle him. His shoulders are huge. He's just going to, I'm like, I don't know what he's going to do. And I'm being hard on myself. I wasn't being that much of a psycho, but I was just like, and people are starting to watch and I'm like, fuck. And I just hear him getting tired and I hear like, as he's trying to like pick me up. And sure enough, man, I just went back and I don't have a fundamental Gracie Jiu-Jitsu game. I don't know the last time I hit an armbar from closed guard. The second he got tired, I just went, and like dragged his arm over And literally in my head, I'm like, is this going to fucking happen? And like, whoop, like threw my legs over in the little diamond and then just armbarred him. And the reason I bring that up is to brag that I tapped out a white belt.
Amazing. I'm so proud of you right now.
Thank you so much. Thank you. The second round, now that I knew he was going hard, I guillotined him in like fucking 10 seconds. And then I'm like, we're done.
Typical brown belt.
Yeah, it's just such a piece of shit. I'm like, I'm out. I'll see you in like 6 months. But I fucking forgot about that, because the problem with being at competitive gyms is if I'm not constantly scoring, if I don't sweep the second I get mounted, I feel like I'm losing sometimes. Mm-hmm. And that was this moment where I was just like, oh, in a self-defense situation, if I have a fucking gigantic 200 plus pound guy, back to basics, man. Held him. He fucking just completely gassed himself. And then just a 101. I mean, dude, the armbar, I got it so slow. And this guy was so much stronger than me. Just boom, boom, leg over. And I was like, and I thought he was going to, oh, man. And it was just, so when Huron talked about that, I thought about it, where it's like, that shit's so fucking important. Those basics are so important. And if you're holding someone down, like, that's okay.
So you brown belts out there listening, listen carefully to this interview, because it's going to help you. I know you think you know everything already. Even you black belts out there, you think you know everything already. Listen to this guy, because he got it from the source and has been training since he was a fetus. And these are the secrets that work at the highest level.
Ryron Gracie's fetal secrets with Drew and Jamie. I hope he doesn't listen to this. With Drew and Jamie from Rear Naked Radio. Enjoy. Cool. Thank you so much for doing this, man.
You're welcome, you guys. I'm excited to talk.
I got to say, I haven't trained with you in years, and I poorly tried to describe to Drew some of the moves that I still use that you showed me. I mean, one of the best teachers I've ever trained with.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully, because my goal is to teach things that are simple and practical and sustainable.
Yeah, let's open up with this then. What's your kind of thought? And this isn't trying to be clickbait, getting you to trash anyone, but what is your thought on sort of the fancier new jiu-jitsu that maybe is geared more towards sport? Does that excite you as a fan of the art? Do you kind of wish that more schools still focused on like basics and self-defense? What are the pros and cons for you?
I think that everything is fine how it is. I guess for me, the first understanding to have, which is something that Pedro Valente in Miami had talked to me about a while back, which is, what exactly turned so many people on to jiu-jitsu? And that was Royce fighting in UFC 1, UFC 2, right? These fights that Royce did in the early UFCs, you saw jiu-jitsu being demonstrated in very much the way that we still teach it today, which is you might end up on the bottom and you stay safe for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, right? You survive first. You defend punches. You avoid being knocked out. You close the distance. You let your opponent burn energy while you conserve energy. The fight might take 9 minutes, might take 14 minutes. So that type of jiu-jitsu is what people saw, and they said, wow, look at the strategy that this smaller guy used against these big guys. We want that. Now, today, you talk about the more sportive jiu-jitsu, and by more sportive, you're also implying that it's more pressed for time.
Yeah.
That it's the go, go, go type jiu-jitsu, which I think that's beautiful. And if I had to organize a team for the Olympics coming up in 16 years or whatever it is, I would choose from some of these top sportive guys if there was going to be the Olympic sport. I guess jiu-jitsu practice, how an Olympic sport would look for jiu-jitsu. I'd pick some of these guys that are the best of the best today. Now, people all around the world are watching YouTube videos and they're following these people that are very impressive athletes. they're like the 1%, maybe even less.
Mm.
And they're inspired by them. And they say, wow, this is amazing. And whether they watch an Instagram video or a YouTube video, it's a really cool move. It's a sweep or a submission, a throw. And then they want that. And then they jump into class and they're learning stuff like that. But what they don't realize is that they are not that 1%. No matter how much we like Michael Jordan or LeBron or any amazing player, Kobe Bryant of the times, we realize that I'm not the 1%. The chance of me doing what LeBron does, if I were to start it 20 years ago, is very slim.
Right.
So being able to, and do I want to like shatter people's dreams? Like if you're 27 years old and you say, you know what, I love jiu-jitsu. I want to be really good. I'm going to train it all day, every day. You're not realizing that the guys that are 27, 30 years old winning now started when they were 14 years old.
Yeah.
And many of their friends that were 14 dropped off. So I guess what it is this: if you chase those more athletic, go, sportive type techniques, and it doesn't work out, where are you left then? Meaning if you're not able to perform to the level of which you would like to, where do you stand then? You're in a place of like, I can't do this. But that's not true. If you look back at what Hoist did in UFC 1, or what many Gracie representatives did in these fights that had no time and no rules, and what Helio Gracie did, my grandfather, his whole life, then you say, you know what, I can't do what these top-of-the-line athletes do, but I can do what these guys are doing, which is to stay safe and survive and learn just enough to, like I just said, protect myself and survive.
Yeah, that's really cool. I remember some of these classic stories of like very long matches, these ones back in the day with Helio Gracie and with all of these older, more historic at this point competitors and representatives of jiu-jitsu. And oftentimes that's kind of like a leading theme is how long they would go. I've heard the term cook the beans. You want to let the beans cook for a long time, let them get soft before you eat them. And that really seems to be a through line with Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. I want to kind of dig into a bit of the history because you're an excellent reservoir of jiu-jitsu history that you can't really find in too many places in the world right now. So for myself, I started in 2007, which was only 2 years before Grandmaster Helio died in 2009. We're coming up on just about 11 years now since then. So there are entire generations of people training right now that were not training while he was alive. So I'm wondering if there's something that you can, maybe even just like a personal story or something that would pass on what he was like in person, since you had so much experience with him.
Yeah. I guess the first thing that comes to mind when I think of my grandfather is he's somebody that no matter what's happening, right? Whether we're in the kitchen or at a park or at the beach or at his house on the carpet, on the mat, he's walking by the gym, he's in the academy. He's always one to kind of stop you and give you a little nugget of jiu-jitsu and ask a question to create a conversation around a position or a technique. So I remember him being, 90 years old. And he said, "Hey, don't come over here, side mount me." Or mount me. So very much like just always hands-on. And to be 90 years old, 92 years old, 94 years old, and to say, come here and do this, it just shows like, how does he feel about jiu-jitsu, right? It's almost like it's what kept him alive for so long. And it's why he still is being talked about right now. It's almost like the more you do it, and not only he didn't just do it like walking by and grabbing me, he lived jiu-jitsu. So he was somebody who would, even in his conversations, right? A very common thing that he would say is that, the fish, just like the man, the fish dies through the mouth, right? Through what they eat. Human dies from what they eat. You eat bad things, your body, stops working. And the fish is the same way. It eats bad things, the body fails. So that's just him talking about nutrition, for example, which meant so much to him. And then what meant so much to him was even your outlook on when things happen, right? This is all self-defense. This is all jiu-jitsu. When he said, if something happens to me, if somebody, verbally insults me and then walks away, I don't go after that person and fight them, right? Now, there was times back in the day in the media where people would talk trash, and they would have to, because it was put onto the media, they would have to defend their honor on the big stage of the newspapers in Brazil. But if somebody walks by and says, yeah, you're an idiot, the energy is, look at the guy, and you can even stand your ground and say, what are you going to do about it? If he comes at you, you defend yourself. But if he walks away, it's done. On to the next topic, on to the next, thing on the schedule.
When you say, man, I usually got dick jokes, but now I'm just so fascinated by this. When you talk about living the jiu-jitsu lifestyle, and he lived the jiu-jitsu lifestyle, what do you think is the difference between like a modern day jiu-jitsu practitioner and someone who then carries it over into their family life, into their day-to-day, the way they walk around, the way they treat other people, hold themselves?
Well, I think every single person that does jiu-jitsu has taken something. It has changed them in some way besides them knowing some escapes and some arm bars and some sweeps. So I can ask a class with, 80 people here, right? Tonight, I can say, you guys, how many of you have noticed some significant changes in your life, whether it comes to how you treat your family, right? How you're becoming more healthy, how you look at your business, how you treat your business, how you treat your work, how you speak to yourself. And I asked them that, and how many hands go up? Every hand.
Right.
Everybody's done something. Now, something is as small as they don't drink soda anymore. And some are as big as they have now taken more, they pay more attention to how they're on their cell phone all the time with their children, and how they put the phone down and they're more present with the child. And they tell the child, hey, you know what? I'm going to step away and go on my phone right now for 30 minutes. So that presence of I'm with the child, I'm with my phone, I'm with my work. That's huge. When you get mounted by somebody, hey, I'm in the bottom of the mount. Hello, bottom of the mount. What am I going to do right now? And you address the mount.
Do you think that's one of the reasons, just a follow up on that real quick, do you think that's one of the reasons that not only is jiu-jitsu taking off, but meditation, mindfulness, yoga, all of these things that were kind of like hippie things minus jiu-jitsu years ago, do you think it's almost in rebellion to the fact that we've become obsessed with our phones and have lost that ability to be present?
Yes. I feel like when you say in rebellion, it's almost like it's happening. People, the whole world is seeing that everybody who drives is on their phone. People walking through the airport, they're on their phones. And don't get me wrong, I love my phone and I use it very well. But I also put my phone down a lot. I'm very blessed because I don't have a phone on my desk. If I'm teaching for 3-4 hours of jiu-jitsu, there's no phone nearby me. It's in my locker. It's gone. So, and I'm with kids, I don't have a phone. But you're right in that it's almost like people need to set up excuses for themselves to not have their phone near them.
Yeah.
And jiu-jitsu can be one of those. But then again, really, you don't need any excuse. All you need to do is realize that there are so many things that we have in our immediate proximity every day that are worth putting our phone down for. Even right now, us talking right now, I could be semi on my phone while talking. I'm sure it's probably happened before on podcasts and conversations like this, right? A little phone interaction while talking, especially when it's only being recorded. But it's my mind is on nothing in the whole world right now but what you guys are saying and what we're experiencing.
Well, to be fair, we have a very good podcast.
Yes. One of the best.
The best. But to riff on what you were saying there, this is something that comes up, I find a lot with my own students, is that they're, especially when they first begin, they're shocked at how present they have to be. Because like you were saying, there's so much in our life that we don't have to be present for, or that we're partially present for. When someone's trying to strangle the life out of you, what else can you possibly focus on? So it's this strange moment that you can take away from regular life where you are literally forced by opposition to be present, which is so cool.
Well, on that topic real quick.
Okay, go for it.
Forcing to be present. You are right that you're forced to be present. The question is, how many people that are getting choked and attacked, you're right that their whole focus is there. But how are they? How is their state when they're there? They're usually in a state of, no, this is not good. They're in a state of like, this is the problem. This is bad. And then what that affects how present they are. You see that? So there's two ways to be present. You could be on the bottom getting choked and be saying how, man, you know, I don't want to be here. I hate this. Or you can be saying, wow, this is non-stop choke, attack, sequence after sequence. It's overwhelming. He's changing hands a lot. It's very difficult. He's very heavy. It's hard to get out. But I'm seeing it. I'm feeling it. And when it happens, once you get tapped, there's the answer of, dang. Or there's the answer of, wow, that was good jiu-jitsu. You see, and those, depending on how you respond to that being that moment, says a lot to what's going to happen to you next week.
Yeah, I'm going to try to put this into words, but when you started the whole like keep it playful movement, legitimately changed my game forever. I'm like, I was a Marcelo Garcia guy, and so very, very like attack, aggressive, and I love that style. And it was actually the other head instructor at Marcelo's, this guy Paul Schreiner, who was like, you have to check out everything Huron's doing online right now. And now, years later, after you started talking about it, it's 100% affected my game. But I remember in the moment that, you know, whenever you think of guys with ego, you think of like really big guys who are just using all their strength and they don't want to tap and they'll make excuses, whatever. I noticed that I could go in the opposite direction and almost go too playful and use it as an excuse to be lazy. And that was also coming from the ego. So what I mean by that is if I was playing around and suddenly I was in a bad position, instead of being like, oh, this guy has my number, I could be like, I'm just being playful. And now when I coach or when I help younger belts, the ones who are really spazzy, I try to tell them to calm, to stay relaxed, to stay loose, to feel what the other person's doing. But I also want to make sure that I'm not giving them an excuse to be lazy and to not still push yourself. So what is that balance?
Yeah. I feel like when you roll with somebody, for example, you do a 5-minute roll, the beginning and the end, the first second and the last second. If you shake someone's hand and you feel like that roll, if you give that roll so much value, you hold it so high, how are you going to roll in that 5-minute roll? You're gonna fight harder. You'll be more resistant to the things that they do to you, right? You're going to try to escape the mount faster because you're holding that so high. But if you look at that 5-minute roll as one roll out of tens of thousands, and it's hard to do because that's only for somebody who says, you know what? I really want to excel in jiu-jitsu. I want to be around this for a long time. I see the long-term benefits in being around something like this, the martial arts, the exercise, the camaraderie, the mental, the problem solving, the philosophy, the strategy. When you say that long-term, most people, not everyone can think long-term. People are thinking small, this little roll today. So I guess when it comes to keep it playful, you have to decide, when it comes to rolling, you have to decide what you want for yourself. For example, on me, 1 day a week, on Monday, I'll roll with people very light. They're going to give me their energy. I'm sorry. If someone gives me energy, the natural thing for me to want to do it when I'm 27, 30, 32 is to go boom and meet them head on. Now, more recently, in the last 5, 6, 7 years, people have given me energy and I've kind of absorbed them. Now, when I absorb them, I often end up in the bottom positions. And I very much say, yes, I am giving less fight to end up on top. And I'm in the mode of experiencing and feeling all that they have to give. Now, I don't want them to go from side mounting me to mounting me in 1 second. So as much as I'm absorbing them, I don't want them to advance from position to position to position to position, because that's not me training self-defense. If they side mount me, they're not going to mount me and they're not going to choke me. And I'm somewhat relaxed and I'm aware and I'm sensitive. Now, if they mount me, then I'm now in the mount. They're not going to choke me and they're not going to armbar me. You see that? It's always a fresh start, but I don't want advancement. So sometimes people are so flip-floppy, flowing, that they just allow their back to get taken. They allow themselves to get swept, which does that have value once every, couple, does that have value to help warm you up? Yes. But the goal is to stop people from progressing on you. The goal is to not get choked, arm locked, swept, get your back taken, go from side mount to mount, have them advance position. And how do you do that? You become more comfortable in these positions. And with being with awareness and relaxation and efficiency, you can see more and your awareness increases. Therefore, you can stop more. So you're talking about students being maybe too relaxed. I think it's something that we have to think about with 5% of people. Most won't.
Right.
Most just bring so much intensity that we need to help them drop 50%. If on Monday you go crazy and on Tuesday you allow yourself to experience all positions, you're great. And then Wednesday go hard and then Thursday light. That kind of change like that is huge, because one day they're going to hit 37, 40, 42, 49, 55. And when they hit those ages, who knows what age it is, they're going to be able to fall back on all of the defense and comfort and awareness that they worked on for the years.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about your philosophy of training, but let's talk about your actual style, because unfortunately the only one in the chat here who hasn't rolled with you is me. But I have seen your super fight with Andre Galvao, as well as the one you had with Josh Barnett. And so I've seen your style to a certain extent, and I've heard, legends of your defensive ability. So for your style, are you one of those guys that's looking for the longer roll? It's looking for them to make the mistake, that's not forcing any position, that's just waiting to escape and then take advantage of? Do you find that that is the truest form of jiu-jitsu, I guess, is what I'm asking?
Yeah, my style right now is I'm not trying to submit people. I'm trying to, if I land in a defensive on the bottom in an inferior position, I'm trying to neutralize all of their attacks and stop them from being able to advance. If I land in an offensive position, a controlling position, bottom of guard, top mount, top side mount, back control, I am controlling them 100%, keeping them from being able to escape. So I'm either defending or controlling. That's my focus. Now, I do that 90% of the time. And then with amazing defense, I see windows for escape. So my escape timing is becoming very good. And with amazing control, I see windows to take submissions. So then I attack a submission here or there when it's given to me. So I would say, 9 out of 10 days that I roll, I take that role of being very passive. I just defend you until I can escape, or I control you till I can submit. Whereas most people, they might defend for 4 seconds and then they're already trying to pass the guard right away. I take the complete opposite. I stay in the guard for a whole minute and a half. And then I neutralize you for so long that you make a mistake in your attack and it makes the pass very easy.
Now, some people might hear that, some of the kind of newer guys and talk about how, you should constantly be attacking. I have a very attacking style. And, maybe they'll even say, well, maybe you can say that because you don't compete. But you were literally fighting challenge matches for your family's honor at like blue belt, which is so much scarier to me than any like IBJJF competition. When did your mentality change? Or because I assume when you're fighting these challenge matches against strangers and strikes are involved, you had to have a little more of an aggressive mentality, or was it sort of the same?
I would say that when I was much younger, and whether I was competing or like I've had maybe, like you said, I've had maybe 7 or 8 challenge matches fighting someone in our school. And I would say, yes, there was a little bit more of a rush to finish the person, but not from a place of necessity, more from a place of, because I was 23, 27 years old, I had the physical attributes to be able to overwhelm people a little more. I would fight for 30 seconds, a minute, minute and a half, and then I would finish the guy. But the thing is, I didn't need to do that. I could have very well took him to the ground, side mounted him, controlled for 20, 30, 40 seconds. He panics, and then I accept the mistake that he's given me.
Okay.
So, but I did enter a little hungrier as I was younger. Now, people who are competing, people who say things like, you know, this is okay because you're not competing and you have to attack. I 100% agree that there is power in being very go. Having amazing attack combinations and sequences has value. Now, the problem is when you attack, because how often have we seen competitors attack hard for a minute, minute and a half, it fail, and then they end up on the bottom.
Sure.
And then when they end up in that, you know, we can call it an inferior position, even though I love being on the bottom of side mount or mount. You can say that when they end up down there, they've kind of exhausted their attacks, and now they're mentally and they're physically beat. It could be after 4 minutes, after 9 minutes, who knows? When they land down there, they're still thinking, I have to get out now to try another attack sequence. And all I'm saying is that we have to leave room for the ability to grow in our understanding of what jiu-jitsu has to offer, which is so much more than overwhelming people with attacks. So jiu-jitsu has so much gold, meaning if I attack someone for a minute and a half and they side mount me, when they side mount me, my first thought is not, I need to get out of here and attack again. My first thought is, okay, now it's your turn. I'm almost excited to see what it is that they have to offer. And I'm only excited because one is when they are able to beat me, I know I'm going to learn. And two, because I've done it so much, I'm excited to see how everything that I know is going to serve me. And how now I'm going to be safe. Like my grandfather, Helio, he would force me to lay on my back and have people side mount me and mount me. And I used to be like 18, 19, like, come on, grandpa, like let me loose. But he always said, no, lay down, don't get up, lay down, don't get up. And only after like I would say this happened at 14 years old, 16, only around 18 years old, 17, did I get mounted by somebody or side mounted by somebody who beat me all the time. This guy was like 9 years older, and he's a purple belt. And he used to always just overwhelm me and tap me out, kind of almost bully me, maybe a little younger, maybe 20, maybe 4 years, 5 years older. One day I came home from a trip in Brazil. I rolled with him, and I tied one hand in my belt, and I tapped him like 3 times. But it was because my understanding of how to stay safe, like it clicked. Something happened to where he beat me all the time to never again. And these are the things that this is available to everybody, but you just have to sacrifice. You have to put away this mindset of we have to go. The problem is that's what's rewarded in jiu-jitsu. That's what people praise. That's what people post. That's what's exciting. A sweep is exciting. A throw is exciting. A submission is exciting. Me defending someone's attacks for 2 minutes is not exciting. If I defend someone's attacks for 2 minutes and then I do a big escape, they're going to talk more about the escape that happened in 2 seconds than the 2 minutes of my survival.
Hmm.
You see that? But when they get mounted, they're trying to escape in the first 4 seconds. They don't even see the 2 minutes of survival as an impressive skill. And if you want to do jiu-jitsu for a long time, if you want to be able to roll, I see people in jiu-jitsu and I say, I would love to have you mount me. I would love to have you side mount me. Can you please mount me? Like, that's how I think about people. Whereas everybody else is, when you ask them, where are the places you don't want to be? People say, I don't want to be mounted on. I don't want to be side mounted. I don't want you on back control. I don't want me on belly. You see that? They have a list of things they don't like. And then I get somebody, I hold someone, for example, in knee on belly or side control. The guy starts to panic, a black belt in England earlier this year. And I say, hey, what are you doing? And he says, I don't want you to submit me. I'm trying to get out so you can't beat me. And I said, do you know how I'm going to beat you? And he looked at me and he said, no. And I asked, do you want to know? Because if you want to know, shouldn't you just kind of hang out and then learn my attack sequence so you can therefore have some comfort in this position? It's a no-brainer. I feel like I'm talking like it's magic, but yet no one's listening.
It's interesting that you're talking about different ways of staying safe, but I feel like there's a part of this conversation that doesn't get talked about a lot, and it's something that I think you can really speak to significantly, is safety over the years of training. So you're talking about building a game that is sustainable, something that's scalable with age, because once you get to those 50 and 60 and 70 years old, athleticism's gone. I'm sorry, I don't care who you are, you're not going to be that athletic compared to a 20 or 30-year-old. So it is important, A, to build your game for sustainability, but B, in the meantime, how do you keep your body from breaking down? Because you train so often. So if you could speak to both of those questions, I suppose.
Well, how I keep my body from breaking down is by training jiu-jitsu the way that I'm explaining, right? So my body feels great. Just a little while ago, I had a little bit of neck pain in early October. It's better now. And it happened 7 years before. It's because I do train very, very hard with some people. I have some friends that are competitors, fighters, and just athletes. And we can roll very hard sometimes. And I do it for them. And I do it also, I guess, for my ego a little bit. It's fun for me. But most of the time, it's a very passive rolling, and it's very strategic. And I don't feel the pressure to submit. So therefore, I can ask less of my body than somebody who feels like submission is the focus. So my body feels great. A little bit of, Steve Maxwell does amazing stuff in terms of mobility. I have a friend of mine, his name's Ezekiel, another friend, Lenny. They've shown me things for my body in terms of flexion and extension and all of my joints and keeping everything almost oiled and alive. And I do these routines that they've taught me now. It's been a couple of years, and I kind of take what they've given me and I make my own stuff up. So keeping my body very warm and somewhat strong and mobile. So
I see you moving your fingers when you're talking about that. Do you find that it's helping finger pain?
Yeah, what happens is this is now 8 years ago, I had pain on my joint and my ring fingers. Okay. And I realized I was grabbing the gi. And when you hold the gi, your index and your middle finger and your thumb are the most involved. The ring finger is kind of slacking there. And when people break the grip, it compromises, it pulls at an angle on the ring finger, on the first joint on the ring finger. And both my ring fingers were hurting from lots of grabbing and lots of collar chokes. So somebody had explained to me how during the extension of my fingers, flexion, and then open my hand beyond the most that I can, close and open. And that was 7-8 years ago where I hurt my fingers. So I would say in the last 3-4 years, I've been doing lots of hand exercises, and my fingers feel amazing, stronger than before, no pain. So I've brought back I stopped grabbing the gi for a while just to protect it. And then I came back with these exercises. So again, like flexion and extension, even my wrist, I fully flex my wrist in the wrist lock direction. And then I fully open my wrist in the other direction. I do these things all day, all the time. Elbows, shoulder rotation. It's helped tremendously.
Cool.
Now,
sorry.
I was going to say, he talked also about this idea that when you're 30, 40 years old, 50, when you're younger, 20, 30, 40, you're not going to train like when you're 50, 60, 70, right? How it changes as you get older. And I was thinking about I lost my train of thought, but my grandfather being 70, 80 years old and being around jiu-jitsu, and how, I guess, people who train jiu-jitsu, it's almost like a 20-year-old, 30-year-old can't think about being 70 or 80 and being around jiu-jitsu, because people who train jiu-jitsu, and they use the submissions and the good feelings that happen on the mat to fill voids that exist inside of them. So if you are very frustrated about your job, or you're not happy in your relationships, right? Or you're not making enough money, your body is not where you want it to be. You have these things that you feel are problems, these voids in yourself. So then what do? You go grapple, and then you feel good about yourself in grappling. And you feel good because you choked somebody, or you controlled somebody, you rolled hard. So it's hard to think about sustainable jiu-jitsu when you're using the jiu-jitsu for right now. You need the hit right now. You need to feel good right now. And jiu-jitsu does that in the moment. Now, what I'm talking about, defending, surviving, it's not as easy to feel good about defending someone for 5 minutes. You might not walk away feeling much better about yourself because you were feeling so down about yourself because of how your girlfriend speaks to you or your wife speaks to you. So you're at the same place, but you are building your understanding of the art, and you're redefining victory into survival, so that maybe one day, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, when you can no longer roll hard, you can still be around the martial arts.
Okay, I have two things off of that. The first one's jiu-jitsu related. The second one is going to make all of our audience want to kill me for wasting a question on this, but I stand by it. How do you get the jiu-jitsu part? So part one, how do you get to the point where you are going into the gym and you can release your ego and you're not rolling with a white belt like a spaz because your wife got mad you forgot like the bread at the grocery store? And how can you get to that point where you're not, conflating the two and you can't just relax and you're seeing it for an art? And then the second part of the question, which I wanted to ask you since the beginning, I follow your Instagram and I love the jiu-jitsu talk, but also just because you brought up family, you have like seemingly the best family life and like the most wonderful family of all time. And you guys are always on like some island having the best time. I want to know any Ryron Gracie relationship advice as well.
Oh my gosh.
I stand by it.
Bro, we have to have another podcast talk.
All right. Wait, no, forget the first part of the question. You don't have to answer that. I just want an elevator pitch of the relationship advice.
Well, hold on. So, no, the first question was like, how do we get to the part where jiu-jitsu's winning for us?
Yeah.
Right. And I think the first thing people have to do is learn to find victories. There's all kinds of hidden victories when you play jiu-jitsu, right? If you control, the other day, last time Henner and I rolled, Henner was, I was mounted on him, and he tried to escape my mount once. He tried twice, 3 times, and then he escaped on the third or fourth one. And when he escaped, how I felt wasn't, dang, he escaped. How I felt was, I stopped you 3 times. Yeah. So, but it's very easy to feel like, I lost the mount, right? Like my wife, for example, she's told me a while back, she said, I'm going to stop eating carbs. for 2 months, she said, before a trip to an island, right? And I said, and then 2 weeks in, she was eating carbs. And then she said, man, I messed up. I ate carbs. You see, she harped on the fact that I ate carbs. And I said, hey, you did 2 weeks no carbs, and now you did 1 day carbs. Let's go back to no carbs tomorrow. You see that? It's just a fresh start. It's no problem. I'm not going to harp on the fact that you ate carbs and you said you would do 2 months. The same way, I'm not going to be sad that I lost a mount with Henner. I'm going to be happy that I made him fail 3 times before he succeeded. So when it comes to just you as an individual into relationships, like, for example, my children, I can be, you know, they wake up in the morning and they come into my room like at 4 a.m., 3 a.m. They sleep in our room for like 3, 4, 5 hours. I love that. Now, when they wake up in the morning and they go play by themselves, and then they come back after like 20 minutes, an hour, or 40 minutes, when they go play by themselves for 20, 30 minutes and they come and they wake me up, I don't say, oh, why are you waking me up? I thank them. I say, you guys, thank you for going and playing for 20 minutes, even though I want an hour or 2 hours. You see that? How I look at what's happening. So it's all about your perspective. It's very easy to be mad and say, hey, I need to sleep more. It's 7:30 in the morning. Give me a whole hour. But instead, I'm like, you guys, that was so nice. You played for 20 minutes on your own, and now you're waking me up. You see, like, this is like, so relationships, I've heard before that it's your job. Like, for example, people say, like, how are you going to make me happy? What are you going to do for me? Like, and when I think about jiu-jitsu, right, couples, people that are involved in jiu-jitsu that have marriages and so on, it's very common for the woman or the man to almost look for the other for happiness. That's not how things work. I do jiu-jitsu. I do the things that I do to become the best version of myself. And then I call you and want to hang out with you, right? And that's why it's not uncommon for women to even say things like, yeah, you know, you love jiu-jitsu more than me, or you always want to do jiu-jitsu. You always want to do jiu-jitsu. I don't want you to go train jiu-jitsu. They try to stop that, but they're not realizing that that jiu-jitsu is part of what's helped build that individual. I'm saying women, but it could also be men. There are women that train jiu-jitsu also. Sure. So be very careful, you know, telling someone, you know, you can't do jiu-jitsu. I had a friend the other day who said, yeah, I'm going on my honeymoon, and my wife said I can't do jiu-jitsu on my honeymoon. And my first thought is, you shouldn't even marry her. Because that doesn't even make any sense. Can she get massages on her honeymoon? Right. Can she have dinner on the beach during a sunset dinner? Is that allowed for her or no?
And you can compromise too, right? Like, he could be like, I understand it's the honeymoon, so I'm going to wake up an hour earlier, go to the 6 a.m. class, feel good about myself, then we go do honeymoon shit.
No, he could say, I want to go to the 11 a.m. class for 2 hours while you sit by the pool. He can do whatever he wants.
Interesting.
Serious power move there.
It's not a power move. This matters to me. I want to do it. And then look her in the eye. And what's she going to say? No. Are you kidding me? That's crazy. Like, what is it that you do if you have a loved one, a partner, someone you really care about and you want to live with? What is it that you're not going to facilitate for them?
Ugh, now I want the whole hour on relationships. You have to come back so we can do the relationship podcast. I'm like, I needed to hear all that.
Bro, with my wife. We'll do it with my wife.
Ooh.
It's crazy. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do, honey. I want to go do this. She could say, no, you know what? Today, that doesn't make sense with our schedule. I need help here. But you know what? Next Thursday, that day seems like a good day for you to do that. You see, she's working with me.
Right.
It seems so easy when you say it like that.
It does, because it's jiu-jitsu.
Well, look, man, we know you got to go teach. We appreciate this so much. I'm so glad that you were one of our first guests. We will literally have you back on any time.
Thank you, guys.
It was awesome. I hope you get out there and you hold Henry down 5 times today.
Hell yeah.
So if I do that, I'm going to make the biggest acai bowl ever and sell it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Huron.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
See you, brother.
Absolutely. Peace.
Bye.
So, dudes, that was really, really cool. I'm so glad that we got to talk to Ryron Gracie. How crazy is that?
I bet you guys were sort of mad about my relationship advice, but then so happy I asked. Because that answer fucking... How many breakups do you think we just caused?
This is for the better, though, because think about this. This is probably why most blue belts disappear, is because they've been training jiu-jitsu for 2 years straight, maybe 3 years straight. And if they've had the same woman the whole time, she's fucking sick of it at this point. She thought it was going to be a trend. It was going to be a 2-month thing. And she's hanging in there. And she's holding on. And he got his blue belt. Okay, you did the thing. Fucking stop doing the thing.
She thought it would be a trend. And also, by the way, just because the last thing we need are women mad at me, boyfriends who don't train are probably worse because they're going to have fucking... Like, dude, I see guys with their dates at comedy clubs and how insecure they get. Like, you think this guy's fucking funny? Let alone if she's like, all right, babe, I'm going to a place where literally everyone can beat the shit out of you. Bye.
And they're all going to have hands on me and see you in 2 hours.
Bye. Yeah, that dude better start training. What? I did Krav Maga. So, yeah, I thought that fucking advice was great. This should be our first Rear Naked Radio contest. If you broke up with your spouse after that episode, please write to Drew or me at the Jamie Kilstein on Instagram, and we will read your story.
I would like you to know that we're not legally culpable.
Yeah. That was great. I mean, to be honest, I wasn't gonna go to jiu-jitsu tonight, and my girlfriend didn't even tell me not to. I did it. Sometimes, like, girlfriends can like Jedi mind trick you a little bit, where I suddenly was like, how about I skip jujitsu and we have a date night? And then I was like, what the fuck just happened? So like,
these aren't the droids you're looking for.
I did it to myself. So anyway, thank you again to Huron. You can follow him on Instagram, Twitter, Ryron Gracie. I highly recommend training at the Gracie Academy. Getting to roll with Huron and Henner has been like one of the coolest things I got to do when I was in the cesspool that is Los Angeles.
Great pitch right there. Okay, so speaking of Instagram, we went out to the World Wide Webs of Instagram specifically and hit up some Because Jitsu followers for questions. So we're getting into our question and answer period here. Thanks, guys, for throwing out the questions. We're going to start with one from Cody DeFoya. He's saying he's having a hard time training. It's actually on topic here. Having a hard time training, working 12 hours, lifting weights, training BJJ. He's been skipping lifting. Any advice? Why don't you hit it up, Mr. Water Bottle?
Great. So I have a Marcelo Garcia story I can tell.
Do it.
Where I asked him once, not because I was running out of time, but I asked him once, I was a white belt, and I was like, hey, so like, what should I do to cross train? You know, so I don't get injured and so my cardio gets better. And he goes, James, just do more jujitsu. And I was like,
told you he was going to say that.
Yeah. And then I tried to break. I was like, right. Of course. I'm not going to take away I'm not going to like replace weightlifting or cardio. But like, if I was going to do like weightlifting or run and jujitsu, which I do. And he goes, oh, I get it, James. Just do more jujitsu. And then like, this happened for like 5 minutes.
Damn it,
like,
Marcelo.
Yeah. It was like a bad, like, who's on first bit. And he was like, when I work my muscles, I squeeze the guillotine harder. And then that makes me stronger. And I was like, yeah, all right. So that's one thing. If you want to get good at jiu-jitsu, especially, I don't know what level this guy is, but white belt, blue belt, it wouldn't be the worst thing just to fucking throw yourself in and immerse it. And then just to quickly wrap up, it's the Jocko advice, like you make time for things you love. And there are plenty of times that I find myself saying there's just not enough time. but it's like at least an hour of that day is scrolling through Instagram. Or are you sleeping late? Can you wake up an hour earlier?
Well, he was saying that he's working 12-hour shifts, so I can speak to that because I did that for years as a welder. Look, man, you have to work the 12 hours to be able to get food to survive to the next day. But what you have the option of doing is going to jiu-jitsu. Now, ask yourself this. Tell me this. Of those, say, 14 hours that you're committing, 2 to jiu-jitsu and 12 to work, which ones are you more looking forward to? Why would you skip out on the good ones? Those ones are going to make up for the shit half day that you just had to spend to get money.
That's a really great point. And not only that, but you will be more productive. So a lot of people who say, I don't have time to go to the gym, right? The days I treat myself and I sleep in a little bit and I don't train, I get less work done. I'm crankier around my family or my girlfriend. Taking that extra time to do jiu-jitsu, especially in the morning, even though when I would train, I would do the 6 a.m. sometimes at Marcelo's. That means I'm getting up at 5. It's a half an hour train ride back, an hour and a half training. I would get more done that day, having taken an hour and a half away from the rest of my schedule, because I was so much more healthy and motivated and inspired and just like on top of my shit. You will gain time by taking away time to train.
Magic. Basically magic. Okay.
Basically magic.
Good question. Next on the list, this is a classic. We're going to see this one a lot. So let's try to answer it once and for all.
I have a girlfriend.
Phoenix Wilson asks, what is your favorite submission and why? So I could amend that to say, Jamie, what is your favorite submission besides the guillotine and why?
No,
everybody knows. Everybody knows.
Everybody, yeah. Oh boy, I like chokes. I like if it's not the guillotine, which I try to hit from fucking everywhere. Rear naked. I like chokes, one, because I mean there's a caveman part of you, especially with that rear naked, where you're like, oh, I'm making a man legitimately like submit to my will. Like you have so much control as well. But also like for the littler guys out there or the newer people, the women, etc. I like chokes so much because this trachea here, to smash that is a lot fucking easier than wrenching an armbar. You know, my armbar game is either I'm hitting a really fast armbar if someone fucks up, or I'm using like Kimura control to get to the back. I'm not great at like finishing big knee bars, so I like these little areas to attack with my bony ass forearms. Okay,
so to couch that one, I'm all about the arm bars.
Are you? Oh my God. No, this is great for me. Yeah, please.
Yeah, it's funny because it comes from my instructor. He has very good technique when it comes to arm bars. They're so tight when he demonstrates them on you that, like, if you were in, say, the spiderweb position on bottom as the uke, who's just, you know, he's the one showing everybody else how to armbar you. As he falls back very slowly, describing what's going on, I'm tapping before his back is even like 6 inches before it hits the ground. It's so tight. So I guess that sort of is instilled early in me why they're good. And then just like the guillotine, like you're saying, they're everywhere. There's arm bars from every position that you can imagine, whether it's defensive, offensive, top, bottom, back. You can find arm bars everywhere. And for whatever reason, I don't even look for the damn things. They literally fall into my lap after a while.
That's how I feel with the guillotine. Yeah. Once you have that, like, not tunnel vision, because tunnel vision's not good, but like
it's like you have a wider peripheral vision. You can just see them coming farther away.
Yeah, and it's also once you get confident in a move and you know the gym start to know you by that move or whatever, you kind of like you're like, I want to step it up. Like I want to get like I've started hitting this crazy guillotine when people go to butterfly sweep. The second they elevate, I'll flip over them and grab it because you're like, oh, I have like a thing now. I have a thing I'm known for.
I got a story actually about this.
Yeah.
So when I first started up my club, we were having a bunch of I mean, I brought some students over that I was already training with in my other club that it was just closer. So we had a few experienced guys, but for the most part, it was all new guys that we were bringing in. And this one guy who came in had a little bit of MMA experience, not actually fighting, but just training the style, right? He's a younger guy, and he seemed to me like he really wanted me to prove, that he should come here and train. Like he needed it. People? He needed it proved. I could just tell. He didn't ask for me to prove it, but I could just tell.
I would be like,
the energy he was giving.
Here's how I'm going to prove it. You can leave now because I don't need your business.
Even better. This is how we proved it that day. Is we got to sparring, and it's first round. I take him first round, and in a 5-minute sparring match, literally I do the exact same thing. Guard pass, side control, mount, arm bar. Exactly that same thing onto the same arm 17 times in 5 minutes.
That a boy.
17 times.
Amazing.
To the point that by like 10 and 11, he starts chuckling as it's coming because he knows it's
good on him.
It's Groundhog Day, but he can't stop it. So at that, after that, he told me afterwards, he came up to me and asked, like, where do I sign up?
Good. Jesus, that's so fucking funny. Yeah, it's funny because I've never been that guy. Like, I've never been that, like, there's some guys at the gym where you're like, is this guy an asshole? And then one day you beat the shit out of them and suddenly they're cool to you. And you're like, motherfucker, that's what I had to do. I literally had to beat the shit out of you.
Sometimes,
nice
man.
To me.
I was talking to Gary Tonin one time and he said that he has a guy who gets regular private classes from him who only wants to roll. He's like, what are we going over today? He's like, no, we're just rolling.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all he wants. He wants to get shit kicked by Gary Tonin for an hour.
But you know what, though? I learned better that way. Like, so I had a phase where I got to take privates with everyone, man, from like Hodger to like Cobrinha. And I really love rolling with them. Not because I just like have some weird like BDSM thing where I just want you to like beat the shit out of me. But a lot of like the privates I had to pay for when I like laid down money for privates and they were like, all right, just start hip escaping down the mat. I just want to be like, no, like, no, teach me things, like fight me. I don't have a lot of money. I don't want to fucking hip escape. I don't want to do the thing I don't like doing in regular class that I'm not paying hundreds of dollars for. So like I learn better when rolling. Like if I was rolling with Gary, like, the last time I went to Henzo's, I rolled with Shields, and there's a defense that I haven't stopped using because Shields threw me onto my fucking head and then was like, here's how you don't let me do that. And I go, oh, I get it,
Yeah.
By the way, do you think we're going to get shit? Is this controversial of us that neither of us said heel hook? Are we like now officially old school guys?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, to be honest, I'm not too bad at the leg entanglements, but the heel hook is probably my least used attack. So I'm not even the guy to talk to about that.
No, me neither. I got good at defense, but that's what
Next question is from Ernesto Echem. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He says, I can't pass guard because I'm new and so much lighter than my training partners. Advise.
I can't pass guard because I'm new. Advise. God, that's so funny. You want to take this first?
Sure, I'll start with it. So obviously the first problem is you're new. That's something I can't really help besides just do it more. Hey,
Ernesto, guess what else you can't do? Anything. Fucking, what are you doing? Probably nothing. You're tapping. You could probably tap a lot. Yeah, that's okay. It's okay.
You could reformat that into I'm new, fill in the blank I can't do. It's the whole thing. But if you're focusing on passing this early, you probably need to learn more about what the guard is before you understand how to undo it. Because if you've got somebody underneath you who is a good guard player, I'm sorry. Like if you don't understand that you're in reverse De La Riva, you don't have a pass option.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. What can I give? Well, when you said reverse De La Riva, for the higher belts, with stuff like that, is I always tell people like one step at a time, right? Maybe not higher belts, like upper white blue belts. So like if someone has reverse De La Riva and you're just trying to launch yourself over them, it's not going to be good. You have to, like Hiram was saying, you have to settle in, calm down, and figure out what's going on, right? So if they have that reverse De La Riva hook in, learn how to just straighten your leg, get that hook out of there. Then once your hook's out, you can move to step 2. If they put it back, do it again. But if you are constantly seeing red, shaking, tense, you're not going to know what the fuck is going on. So like with anything, if you're new, you just have to do it, get your ass kicked, do it a little better, get your ass kicked, do it a little better. Figure out what kind of guard passer you are, etc.
That's so much better answer than mine.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, but to sort of elaborate on your better answer, I'm going to one-up you a little bit here.
Great. This is going to go on forever.
Riffing off what Jamie just said, which is excellent. If you really in any point of jiu-jitsu, you find yourself stuck, it really helps you to just stop for a split second, realize what's stopping you. There's always going to be something that is going to be the problem. And if you ignore that, you're not getting any further. So you have to deal with that first.
Yeah. And be excited about the process. Like the fact that Drew wrote that question on his Instagram like 10 minutes ago, and you were like, passing. It's like, okay, you've been thinking about this, which is great. But enjoy the process of learning. And the worst thing you can do with someone new is getting mad at yourself for not being able to do a thing yet. If you're enjoying it, if you're enjoying getting tapped out, first time a black belt tapped me out, I laughed while it was happening because I was just in the air. Suddenly my arm was extended and I was like, bah. And enjoy getting a little better every day. Your goal is not to pass guard right now. Your goal is to get a little closer to passing guard every day.
Fine, you win. That was better.
That was good, right?
Okay. Last question comes from Lukeeg98. So of all the Lukeegs, he's the 98th one. That's
great,
actually,
perfect.
It's probably pretty low down on the Lukeeg list. There's probably thousands.
This is awkward. I actually have a question from 99 next, so we're gonna reverse prices right him.
It says, okay, this one's definitely for you. Best takedowns for tall and skinny people. Hit it, Jamie.
I am 5'7". This is I am 5'7" and portly. Take it, Drew, you asshole.
All right. So for tall, skinny people like myself, you are particularly vulnerable to people going underneath you and taking your legs out. So you need to. What I like to do is try to instigate them to shoot first. Because it's just so right there. Your legs are a mile long. They're going to try to take you out at the legs. Get good at sprawling. And really, it saves you so much energy having to not take a guy down. Just keep him down when he goes underneath you. So get good at sprawling, front headlock position, taking the back turtle, stuff like that. Uchimata, overhook, stuff that's going to reverse their takedown attempt is probably going to be more useful to you roll to roll than it would be to try to force a takedown on somebody, especially somebody smaller. If I was going to try to shoot on Jamie, that's the worst idea I could possibly do. I got to get like belly down to the ground to try to get under him, and it's never going to work. So to work for your body type, I would suggest working more reactionary takedown defense.
Yeah, by the way, I like that. I like that game for me as well. I'm always looking for guillotine sprawl to the back.
Sure.
Like I'll even walk kind of upright sometimes. I don't get
the
wrestling
judo
stand.
move.
Yeah, but I fucking suck at judo, so I just kind of just like casually will stroll up, and then people get a little psyched out.
Dude,
so
there's
like,
nothing more intimidating when you're starting standing and literally the guy just walks with his hands out towards you straight up and down. You're like, either you know nothing or you know a lot.
Or you know everything. That's so funny. Well, guys, those are fucking great questions. And thank you again for writing in. Drew and I were talking about this off the air. We really want this show to become a community where we can all help each other. Like we want people to write back in if we answer their questions, if it helped, if it didn't help. Again, if you broke up with your girlfriend or boyfriend. And we really want to start something fucking cool here. And so you guys are heavily involved. And we want you guys to be heavily involved the whole
On
process.
that note, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Because Jitsu, as well as the Jamie Kilstein. They're all going to follow the Jamie Kilstein now.
I know. You're finally going to get me as many followers as you, but it's for Jamie Kilstein 98. Some bullshit.
Make sure to subscribe on YouTube. We've got this in video. If you're listening to it on audio, you can see our silly faces while we talk.
Yeah, and we're gonna clip it up too on YouTube and on Instagram. So that'll make it really ripe to share with your teammates, with your school, and again, build this up. The bigger the show gets, obviously. I mean, we've had some pretty fucking big guests, but we'll be able to start branching out even further. Like, I'm waiting. I gotta wait till we get like very popular before I pull my Rogan email card. But like, those are the kind of guests we want to get. UFC guys, stuff like that.
Yeah, and guys, we're on iTunes now, so make sure to head over there. Even if you aren't a Mac user, if you're an Android guy, just go onto your laptop and give us a 5-star there, because it really helps. It's like the biggest podcast medium on the internet. So we're on there. We're going to be on Spotify, Stitcher. Make sure to rank us, rate us. Maybe not honestly, just give us 5 stars.
Just do it. And tell your friends about it. That'll be the biggest way that the show grows, is just word of mouth, especially within the jiu-jitsu community. Like, we are a niche, small army that can do a lot with a few numbers. So that's what we want to do for the pod.
And if you are a famous guest that wants to get on, hit us up. We want to hear from you, Obama. I know you're out there. I want to hear from you, Arnold Schwarzenegger, listening.
Yeah, baby. I have so many Obama jiu-jitsu related questions, just like in the fucking back pocket, you guys. So make it happen. Thank you guys again so much for listening, and then we'll see you next week.
All right, see you in episode 3, dudes.
Boo. No. Let's end every episode with calling each other boo. All right, bye, boo.
See ya.